everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Renee. If you are new here, it's been a while, but I'm back. I wanted to sit down for a real quick video and talk to you guys today about personal style and finding a hobby to help you find that personal style. So if you're interested, stay tuned. You guys know the drill. If you hear a lot of hollering and screaming and sneezing, you already know those are my downstairs neighbors, and it just is what it is. So anyway, I am always saying how I hate fashion, how I fell out of love with fashion, but I love personal style, and people don't really understand what I mean by that. Now, to me, fashion is like clothes and accessories or whatnot, but to me, personal style is it goes deeper than just clothing. It's like, what kind of foods do you like to eat? What kind of hobbies do you enjoy? What kind of places do you frequent? Me personally, I love to collect magazines, books, any kind of coffee table book. I just feel like print media is dying anyway, and I used to have a really good collection, but I'm pretty much sort of starting over from scratch. And another thing that I love to do is source vintage magazines. I particularly collect magazines that have black women on the cover, especially ones that really mean something to me or like that I'm interested in, and I collect those. Vintage, I like to find something 10 to 20 years older. And I do collect current issues now, of course, and again, those are the ones that sort of resonate with me, and I like to make sure I get a piece of history, because 10 plus years from now, people are going to be sourcing these and they're going to be long gone. So let me just show you a little bit of my collection. Now, the most recent magazine that I've acquired, I like to use those type of words because to me, this stuff is art. Now, the most recent magazine that I acquired was a Vogue China cover with Rihanna on the cover. Now, this one was hard to find. Let me take it out of the plastic because it's a little noisy. Hold on. Now, again, this one was hard to find. I contacted the magazine stores I like to go to in the city, and they said they couldn't find it, that they didn't have a manufacturer that provided it for them, and if I could find it, it would be expensive. I sourced this from eBay, and I spent, with shipping, about $50 to get this magazine. It was around 25-ish in the shipping, so in all about $50 to get this. I couldn't find it anywhere. Do you understand me? I find that these Vogues, when it comes to their photography, is so much more interesting. They push the envelope a little bit more. Now, when I say personal style is more important to me than actual fashion, I find that you can get more inspiration from these magazines and from my hobby of collecting magazines. You don't necessarily have to dress like how Rihanna would have dressed in this magazine, and I'll put a cutaway where I'm flipping through it, but it just sort of inspires you to sort of get to know yourself a little bit more and get to know like what you're more interested in when it comes to fashion, because again, you don't want your clothes wearing you want to wear the clothes. Even when it comes to like hair and makeup, flipping through the magazines are a great way to sort of get ideas, put your own spin on things. You don't necessarily have to read every magazine that you get. Maybe if down the line somewhere, if you just want to get inspired, or you just, you're just interested, you can open it up and read it. And they're great coffee table books. They're great for conversation, especially when they're editions that no one has ever seen or couldn't get their hands on before. Next up, I have this 2002 edition of Source magazine with my girl Kimmy on the cover. Now, music and fashion go hand in hand to me. I always say in another life I could have been an A&R, but the music industry, as we can see now, we won't even go there, okay? But they go hand in hand. Music is so important to me. Like, I literally love every genre of music, just about. I can find something that I love about it. She is wearing this fur Dior saddlebag. Like, look at her. Kim, literally, fashion meant just as much to her as music did. And she pushed the envelope so much when it came to fashion. And again, I'll do a cutaway flipping through like the spread. That's just, she's just just that girl. And especially when you look back at how they used to dress back then, which it wasn't too long ago, but definitely over 20 years ago, and like how they used to dress back then, they all had like their own taste level, they all had their own personal style. So it was definitely so good to reference issues from back then. At this time, there was nobody walking around looking like Little Kim. Now you see all her sons everywhere. And again, we won't even go there, but it's the truth. We see her sons everywhere, and she pushed the envelope. She walked so they can run. Okay, so yes, this is another one of my favorite acquisitions. Little Kim Source Magazine. Next up, we have the March issue of Harper's Bazaar with my spirit animal, Solange, on the cover. I just love this so much. She has her red hair, red kinky hair at that, and anything that has Solange on it, you all should know by now that I'm obsessed with. I have everything from her. Any magazine that she's in, I have it. Any books that she puts out, I have it. And there's more. They're like scattered all over my home, but this is my girl. I just feel like people think they know who Solange is, until you actually, even if you see her social media, you wouldn't really know. She's just so multifaceted. I feel like she's in her own world. She sticks to herself, but she's just so brilliant in her mind and the art that she comes up with, whether it comes to music, whether it comes to the pieces she puts on, the music that she composes for like the ballets and things like that. I'm going to, again, of course, put the flip through on a cutaway so you guys can see the spread, but she's just so beautiful. She's so sexy, so artistic. She's just, like I said, multifaceted. There is no one particular style that Solange sticks to. She is different. At the core, she has her own taste, but she mixes it up depending on like what look she's going for. And I just love her. So yes, this Harper Bazaar issue, I didn't see a lot of people talking about this one either, so I made sure I got one. Sometimes if I can get my hand on 2 issues, I will. I was watching a video on, I believe it was Hill Harper and Mashonda, and he was talking about, this was a time when the Basquiat exhibition came to New York, and I did a vlog on it when it first came out, and he said he was speaking to like an art collector, and they told him any pieces that you get 2, because you become so attached to the artwork that you have that it's so hard to part ways with something, like especially if you want to sell it in the future. So if I can, I always try to get 2. Some magazines or some books I get 2 of if I can, but this I only got 1. But if I can, I try to get 2, and that's also a good tip because I never thought about it that way. But yeah, I'm definitely attached to all of the magazines and the books that I get. So get 2 if you can, if you're collecting things like this or anything that you're collecting. It's always a good tip to have. Next up, I got this Essence cover with Beyonce. Now, this all went along with the rollout of her Sacred hair care line, but this was so interesting to me because she had a March cover issue along with her sister Solange, so I made sure I got both. This one was kind of hard to find too. I don't know. I went to Barnes & Noble and I couldn't find it at first. I went to a few others and I ended up being able to find it, and it had a couple of scratches on it, which I was a little annoyed about, but I got it anyway. And it's a pretty thin issue, but I just love the imaging that was inside of it, of basically like Black women and our hair care and how sacred it is to us, which really went along with the name of the hair care line that she came out with. And I also have this Vogue cover of her from September 2018. You know, the September issue was always the biggest one, and American Vogues aren't usually that interesting to me, but I just love this cover so much. It's just, I don't know, she looks so ethereal and just so peaceful. And Beyonce gets a lot of flack because she's so private and people feel like they can't connect to her, but people are just too damn entitled to people's personal business, and I love that she has a little bit of mystery left to her, because you don't see that a lot with celebrities. I think Rihanna does a good job at sort of balancing both, but we don't really know much about Beyonce. I don't find anything wrong with that. But again, I just love this natural look that Beyonce has going on, and I just thought it was something great to have in my collection. Oh, and I also saw this one. I'm not going to take this one out the plastic, but this is the British Vogue from July 2022, and this was like the start of her whole like Renaissance era. I forgot I had this one. It was like on the bottom of the pot. I have so many so many gems. I just love, you see that whole just finding things that you have. It's just so, I just love it. But I just thought the artistic direction in this issue was so beautiful. I think I have two of these because I believe I have two. I keep some away like in storage, but I think I have two of these. But just look at how beautiful she looks. She looks so powerful and like going into a new era of like womanhood and her artistry. Love it. Next up, I have this May issue of Vogue with Zendaya. Now, this one was very special because if anyone who knows Zendaya or is into fashion and style in any way, shape, or form, you all know who her stylist is and creative director, essentially, best friend, is Law. Now, he was on one of my favorite podcasts, and it's actually a fashion podcast that you don't really see too many of. Well, at least then. Now you start to see more, but it's called The Cutting Room Floor. I also suggest you guys go check it out. If you look it up, it's going to be like this bright green logo, so you'll know exactly what it is. So it was a great conversation that went viral of this shoot and Annie Leibovitz shooting black women. So the whole conversation needed to happen, and it was so interesting his take on it, and as well as the host I think Amandi is her name or it's her last name, but it was just they had two opposing opinions, and I agreed with both of them in their both ways. I understood where both of them were coming from, but she does not do a very good job at shooting black women at all. The photos in here looked pretty, but it always has that gray undertone. It doesn't necessarily show up well on camera for us. So I 100% understood where the host was coming from, but also Law as looking at it as an opportunity to work with one of the most iconic photographers of our time, which she is. I'm not taking away from her work, but it just seems like her style of shooting doesn't really necessarily translate to 2024. But at the end of the day, at the same time, I can sort of appreciate someone who has their own style of doing things because you don't really see that anymore. How often can you say, "Oh, I know exactly who shot that based off of this shooting style"? Like you know how early 2000s, you know how music videos were so important to the music. You could tell it when it was a Little X video. You could tell when it was a, you could tell the different music video directors in their style of shooting. Whereas now, who knows who shoots what, whether it comes to photography or videography. So I just I suggest you guys go check out that podcast episode. I was gonna finish out this video, but then I saw this one. I would like to share with you guys. Like this one is so fun and so near and dear to me. So everyone knows me, even on social media. People who don't even know me know that I'm obsessed with the Golden Girls. I've always been since I was a kid. And when Rose passed away, she was turning 100, and Rose, aka Betty White, you know who I mean. She was on the cover of People magazine, and it's a commemorative edition. And to me, this was just, I had to have this. I know my thing is collecting black women. They're all on my wall when you walk into my apartment in the hallway. But when it comes to the Golden Girls, you gotta have them. And she was the last one standing, so this one is near and dear to me, having this commemorative issue in my collection. And that just goes with when people see certain things, it resonates with you. You want that when people think of you. When it comes to a fragrance or a show or music or whatever, the style, personal style is everything that makes you who you are. So that's all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to share a little bit of what I like to collect and my hobby with you guys. And your hobby could be tennis or pickleball, what everyone's doing. I'm not quite sure what pickleball is. It seemed like it's similar to tennis, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Find something that you love to do that's even outside of fashion, possibly, that can sort of just help you sort of hone in on who you are, and I guarantee you it'll translate into how you dress and your personal style. I just wanted to just let you guys in a little bit of what I like to do and what's near and dear to me, and it's fun and it keeps me happy and it keeps me entertained and it keeps me, you know, creative. So let me know down below like what you guys do for your hobbies, or if you want to start having a hobby. If you have any questions, let me know down below. And I'm so interested to see what you guys do for fun. Let me know. And as usual, follow me on all my social media channels. I'm Renee Lennox on pretty much everything, and my website reneelennox.com. And until next time, Bye.
I just wanna wake up on sleepy time. Wake up to the beat behind.